All right, next question is a bit long, so I'm going to summarize it point by point. We've got a lifter who just competed in a competition, did really well, ended with multiple PRs. Yeah, it looks like set like a 50-pound PR total, so that's really awesome. Congratulations on that. Also says that the question is more related to a back injury. He said several years ago, working in construction, he herniated his L5S1 disc, and then ever since then, it's caused problems. He's had multiple re-injuries, especially when he first started, and it hasn't been a problem throughout most of this training cycle until he got about halfway through. Then he started having some asymmetric soreness, and then he had a slight glute tweak toward the end. He was able to get it calmed down enough to get through the meet and set some PRs, but he's concerned about compensation patterns, asymmetries, etc. He says he believes that all this stems from his first back injury, and the question is about unilateral work, if that would help, and if it would, are there training groups that include more unilateral work? To answer the simple question up front, no, there are not training groups that just arbitrarily include more unilateral work. However, that's a pretty easy substitution to make. So should that be a thing that you want to do, we can do that. It's just going to be your squat supplement movement. So the lightest, most high rep leg movement that you have in a given training week is going to be the one that you'll want to swap out for an equivalent protocol of unilateral work, and which unilateral exercise doesn't really matter that much. Find one that you like. Bulgarian split squats seem to be a favorite of mine, although reverse lunges are also something that I favor quite a lot. You can do regular lunges, you can do regular split squats. I mean, just whatever you like, really. The idea is pretty much the same in all of those, although there are some subtle differences. I don't think any of those will be different enough to matter much to you. So you can absolutely include that, and I would recommend including it with your current training group, especially since you responded so well. Now, let's talk a little bit more specifically about your injury. I don't think that unilateral work is going to be helpful with an injury that stems from a disc issue. It'll be helpful in the sense that it reduces the spinal shear, so it's not, and also the compressive load, since the weights that you handle with unilateral work are a lot less, but also you get a bit more instability and you get a bit more rotation going on with unilateral work. So it's not all good news. You'll want to try it, see if it's well tolerated. I mean, you're asking me about it from the sound of your email. It sounds like you've done it before and it's been well tolerated. So if it's well tolerated for you, then go for it. It's definitely not going to hurt you if it's well tolerated. What I would say is that if the root issue is a disc injury, especially if that seemed to be flaring up on you over the course of your training exposure, there are a couple things that are probably big potential items. The first is technical breakdown. I would be happy to do a technical review for you. Just send in a video. If you would like a more thorough technical review or something with the injury in mind, which is definitely outside of my scope, we have some people in the RTS sphere that can help you with that. So let me know. And actually, Dr. Rory Alter works with a lot of our athletes if they get injured. She would be available to work with you as well at a pretty heavy discount, actually. So let me know if that's something that you want to explore. Actually, I would recommend it. I've worked with her for a disc injury as well, and the level of detail that she sees and analyzes when it comes to technical review is really, really good. It's better than what I can do, and the other component to this, the other potential for a flare up, is just the sheer volume of work. So the first thing we've got to do is make sure that your technique is solid enough to tolerate high volumes of the movement well. And then the second thing that we need to do is to make sure that the volumes of work that you're doing are appropriate for the resiliency of your tissues. That's always the case. That's something that we always want to do with every athlete all the time. The limitation comes into play when we're talking about sorry, lost my train of thought there for a second. The limitation comes into play when we're talking about things like this, injuries and stuff like that, that can change the resiliency of like one subset of tissues. So, in my example, like I have a back injury, I don't handle shear forces very well. So I need to make sure that my program doesn't include very much of that, but can still tax the muscular structures that I want to tax without overdoing it on the shear structure, the shear forces. So anyway, I just wanted to mention those things to you. I know that's a lot to throw at you all at once. Let me know if you have any additional questions. Let me know if you want to speak to Rory or work with her directly, and we'll go from there.